You know the scenes of Abu Hamza with the hook in Finsbury Park where hundreds of Muslims in the streets and he's calling for war and calling for jihad? No one was stopping him.
Mohammed Hijab?
No. With the hook. It's a terrorist with the hook. But back when this was going...
Patrick Bet David just roasts him. Just as like, who's the guy with the hook? It's Mohammed Hijab. That is deadly.
You want to make a case, but you can't even make it because your brain cells can't aid you and help you. Patrick Bet David, come out and apologize. Come out and retract.
See, we too can play it this stupid. I've humiliated you!
This goes over a recent video from Mohammed Hijab that responds to the interview PBD conducted with Tommy Robinson on Islam.
Whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. And we know the great reward that will not only be gained, but rather will fill your grave after your death. Whenever someone prays there, whenever someone gives shahada in the masjid, whenever someone learns something in the masjid, yes, that will be something that you'll have on your scale.
Whoa.
You know the scenes of Abu Hamza with the hook in Finsbury Park where hundreds of Muslims in the streets and he's calling for war and calling for jihad? No one was stopping him.
Mohammed Hijab?
No. With the hook. It's a terrorist with the hook. But back when this was going...
Patrick Bet David just roasts him. Just as like, who's the guy with the hook? It's Mohammed Hijab. That is deadly.
Why do you think when Stephen Lexon, when he's bringing up and he's describing somebody with a hook, why do you think Patrick, he went on automatic mode and he just brought you up out of all people?
You are nothing! I tell you, you are nothing!
Could that possibly be why?
He's got me in his mind. He's got me in his mind. I think the refutations that we do together and that we're going to continue doing about Patrick Bet David, and they're going to get worse for him. Because we've given him a chance. We've spoken to him privately. We've been very respectful to him. But he's continually perpetuating stereotypes, generalizations, and misinformation about Islam and Muslim people. Recently, I saw a clip of his on Twitter where he was making these absurd and humiliating claims with such confidence. And if we can pull that video up, can we pull that video up of him saying what he said? And then I'll come back and respond in kind. I mean, it's unbelievable what he said. Let's take a look at what he said.
The person who was born in Iran. Yes, I can't stand this regime. Yes, they've called the only thing that's been persistent and consistent is the following. When the Shah was in Iran, did Israel already exist?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Was Israel causing chaos? Was there war in the Middle East? Let me say this one more time. When Iran was ran by the Shah, what year was the Shah of Iran? What years did he run Iran?
53 through 79.
Okay, 53 is the oil consortium. So 54 is the oil consortium. 41 to 79.
Oh, wow.
Because he started at 21 years old, young man, right? 41 to 79. When did Israel become a nation?
48.
Okay, so check this out. Why is it that between 48 to 79, while the Shah was the king of Iran, running Iran, why is it for 31 years there is no major war in the Middle East? Why is that? So to the people that want to say it's all Israel's fault, how come there wasn't that in Iran for 31 years? I'm curious. Answer that question for me. And why is it from 79, when the mullahs, the Hezbollahs, the IRGC, all these guys, the Khomeinis, all of them took over. Why has there been chaos in the Middle East in 79? Whose fault is that? America's been consistent. Yes, I know America wanted the oil from Iran. And yes, I know UK wanted it and MI6 and CIA and all this stuff. And yes, I also am aware that the Shah didn't trust Israel. The Shah didn't trust, what they were doing with media and finance and the ambition and the level and the control and the influence and all that stuff. He knew what was going on there. He wanted to compete with them. He didn't see himself as a victim. He's like, we're going to be doing the same thing. And they're like, wait a minute, this guy's too ambitious and he thinks he can go up against all of us. Let's take this guy out. We need chaos in the Middle East. Oh shit. Even Israel being involved, let's just say for Iran and the Shah fallen, there is chaos now in the Middle East. On who though? Who did that? So yeah, for me, the most consistent thing behind the chaos in the Middle East has been Iran. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, so I just want to say, because he said, someone answer that question for me. I'm going to answer that question directly. And I think this is a humiliating and embarrassing blunder of tremendous proportions, the like of which Mr. Bet David should come out and apologize and retract and rescind his comment. Because he said, what major war was there between 1941 and 1979 in the Middle East? Not realizing that the most major wars were in that exact time period. The 1948 war, among the inception,
20,000 dead,
of Israel itself,
30,000 dead.
was a war between Israel and Arab countries surrounding it.
Mohammed Hijab claiming that he's some grand historian of the Middle East is hilarious when he's trying to cite wars that were over in 6 days as some great disruption on Middle Eastern affairs. Patrick Bet-David was clearly saying that the Middle East was peaceful as a whole because things were peaceful in Iran, things were peaceful in Iraq. Do you know how many people died when Iraq and Iran started warring with one another? So let's go with a conservative estimate of 700,000 dead. Let's put it at that. Let's look at Israel and how many died in the 1948 war.
That looks to be about 10,000 plus 20,000 makes 30,000.
And how about we look at the 1967 war?
20,000 dead in 1967 and about 4,000 dead in the Suez Canal crisis.
And then we can look at the 1973 war.
Add all of these numbers together and you have about 30 to 40,000 dead.
And then we can add them all together. And what do we get? A number nowhere near even remotely close. Not even in the ballpark of. That is how ridiculous it is. That is Mohammed Hijab showing you what a great historian he is. And how he knows so much better than Patrick Bet-David. You're a humiliated boy! You're a crazy person, Mohammed Hijab. I hope you understand that. See, we too can play it this stupid. I've humiliated you!
In 1956, there was the Suez Canal
5,000
crisis. In 1966-67, there was the 6-Day War.
30,000
In 1973, there was the Yom Kippur War. So
40,000
this
dead.
guy is so academically and historically illiterate that he actually chose the time where there was probably the most wars, and he's challenging
But
us
not the most
to give him
Middle East.
Mohammed Hijab, I have a challenge for you. Why don't you show me some statistics to back up your claims?
You know, the reason why there was no war in this period of time. I know you're watching this, Bet David, because you watch us, you love watching our content. I'm sorry to say, you are academically illiterate. You are completely uneducated on these matters. You should not speak about history. You should not speak about politics. You should not speak about religion. And what happens is, when you, as an ignoramus, with all due respect, bring on another ignoramus, another ignorant person, then what you have as a result, when you have Tommy Robinson there, is compounded ignorance. You're saying ignorant things, he's saying ignorant things. There's no academic to check you, there's nobody to check you, because you always surround yourself with ultra-crepidarians, with obsequious individuals, with ignorant individuals, with ignoble individuals, with individuals with agendas, with individuals with no formal education. At least when Joe Rogan does his podcasts, which your podcast will never reach his podcast level, is he brings specialists.
He must mean Dave Smith and Ian Carroll. Yeah.
He brings people that he can ask questions, scientists. He brings, people that are actually specialists in areas, and they can give him the cutting edge research. And he stays there quietly whilst they give him the information. Whereas you, on your own show, come and speak about these matters as if you are some kind of an authority, and in fact you're making such huge blunders that it beggars belief that there is such ignorance in your studio that not one person from the editorial team, from the panel, or from the comments, or from anybody could correct you on one of the most glaring and obvious, painfully obvious mistakes of a historical kind that anybody can make about your own nation, which is you're from Iran.
Patrick Bet David is Assyrian. He is not Iranian. It may seem like the same thing to people like Mohammed Hijab, but it's not. Assyria was conquered by Iran because Iran actually is more like an empire. I believe the national language of Assyrians is Aramaic, whereas the national language of the Iranians is Farsi. Most Iranians are also Persian who speak Farsi, so they are of Persian descent, not Assyrian descent, like Patrick Bet David. So once again, Mohammed Hijab proves how intelligent he really is. I've humiliated you, boy!
And its surrounding countries. You should be ashamed of yourself. You need to stop talking and start listening. You should start reading, because having money, and I want to make this very clear, there's lots of people nowadays become businessmen and get money from Ponzi schemes or whatever it may be. I don't know how you made your money, Patrick, and I don't care. Having money and having knowledge are two separate things. Having money doesn't mean that you have intelligence and knowledge. You cannot buy intelligence. You can buy books, you can buy courses, but you cannot buy intelligence. You should know your limits. You should know that you've spent your time raising money or doing this or doing that, or doing business. Don't get involved in academic discussions. It will save you the humiliation of someone like me in London, who I'm meant to be this ruffian, this uncouth.
Today, with all vehemency and all vigor, you have started a war with the Muslims, and we will not live or die until we become victorious in this war. Look at them now. Look at them looking at me. What are you looking at? Take this Uyghur flag, you son of... I tell you today, you have nothing to offer the world. You have nothing at all to offer the world. You know why? Because you have already incorporated a Marxist communist system. You've already lost the war against the Americans and the West because you have taken their ideology.
And this is the man lecturing us on how civilized his people are. He rips his shirt off and starts beating his chest like a gorilla. Yes, this is your role model, Dawa.
You are, though. London, that Tommy Robinson, he's describing the Muslim community, and he's trying to paint us out in this way to you. I'm meant to be like that, but I'm checking you in such a way that not even your most ardent supporters can defend you, because you are wrong. You are making a case that Israel is not the most, damaging and destructive and belligerent and transgressive actor in the Middle East by trying to find a time pre-Iranian Revolution in 79 whereby there was not these things that you're mentioning, but there was all of those things that you're mentioning. This is such an embarrassment. If I were you, I wouldn't be able to sleep from the embarrassment. I would not be able to sleep. I would look at myself in the mirror and just turn away. Wallahi, I would. It's so embarrassing. If I could somehow, using the millions I have, if I was you, I don't have millions myself, but if I were you, remove those videos where I'm talking rubbish and bringing ignoramuses, I would do it, because to spare myself the humiliation, the intellectual and academic humiliation of this. This is what happens when you have an agenda and you're a Shah supporter above everything else, and you're a nationalist above everything else, and so on and so forth. And you want to make a case, but you can't even make it because your brain cells can't aid you and help you. Patrick Bet David, come out and apologize. Come out and retract. Come out and rescind. Come out and correct. Come out and clarify. You should now say, I have a new policy on my show. My policy is I'm going to have at least one academic. When we speak about sensitive issues, when we speak about big issues, I'm going to have at least, you don't have to have a Muslim academic when you're talking about Islam. You can have a non-Muslim academic of Islam. Bring the standards of your little crummy show up. Bring the standards of your show up. Do you understand me? Bring it up. You are contributing to the proliferation of ignorance in your country. You are contributing to ignoramuses and chavs and hillbillies and rednecks not knowing where countries are on the map and this, that, and the other, historical timelines having it all made.
Talking about hillbillies.
You are contributing to global ignorance. It's not about Islam or ideology or narrative. It's about academic credibility. You're missing that. You're lacking that. I would say, based on just that clip here, you should retire. You should say, I'm taking some time off PBD podcast, this and that. I'm just going to do business. There's going to be a new guy that's going to be running this show, and they have you or me doing it. Because they need some professionals. They need some professionals, for God's sake. You know, we'll take the show, PBD show, to another level. We'll do something good with it. You have this ignoramus with him all the time called Adam. What has he done? What has he done? These guys, I'm going to put it because people don't know. Eddie is a high-level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People don't know this. I remember going to Chicago a long time ago, and he was showing me some things. I was thinking, my God, this guy, this guy is not what he seems. But let me put it in BJJ terms. These guys are not even white belts. Forget about it. They haven't even put on the gi. These guys are the most low-level. Okay, you're bringing people, and then they're speaking as if they're like, you know, Roger Gracie or Gordon Ryan. You're nothing. You honestly have done, you're not proven. Stop speaking about these matters. You're nothing. Yeah? Understand you're nothing. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. It's time to humble yourself. That's it. You know, and this is the problem. Forget about narrative and this and that. They need to humble themselves. That's what it comes down to. Because when you don't humble yourself, we're going to catch you as we have. We're going to catch you on your mistakes. And we're going to expose your mistakes. And your supporters will say, they'll tip your hat. They'll tip their hat to us. They'll tip their hat. And they'll say, yes, he's right. They'll say, even though we disagree with him on ideology, he's right. You're ignorant. You should not be representing our interests. That's what they're going to say.
Hey you, are you wasting your time on social media again? Your brothers and sisters in Islam Net from Norway are establishing a masjid, a dawah center.
You gotta take over Norway, yo.
Convey the message of Islam, the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this.
You knew it.
That makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will even more.
So that's it for this episode of Mohammed Hijab making a fool of himself. I will link the full episode of the PBD interview with Tommy Robinson in the video description if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching up until this point, and this is where the video is going to cut off. If you want to help support the channel, please remember to like and subscribe.